Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2024. I pray that this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I am doing well. I wanted to put together a quick, short presentation or synopsis of my most recent headline news, episode 59, which was a two-part video that did a sort of deep analysis of the current political climate and situations and circus happening in America right now between Kamala Harris and Mr. Donald Trump. But I also wanted to do a short rendition of those videos and put it up on YouTube just to add my contribution to the conversation and what I see happening right now, and how unfortunate it is for me to see humanity continue to be played with and toyed with and dragged into all of this low frequency, chaotic theater. And it's not even good theater. So before I get into this real quick, I was running a special for 5 for 5 for consultations, one-on-one consultations. Well, that ended today. I'm going to open my calendar up for the next week for one-on-one consultations, meaning not the, signing up for a bundle, so to speak, but just signing up for one-on-one consultations. For the next week, my calendar will be open. I told you guys that I'm going to be, this is a service I'm not going to be offering anymore after 2024. I have spoken to so many beautiful souls all around the world over the past, I think it's been about 7 years now that I've been offering, a one-on-one consultation where you can just sign up and speak to me for an hour and we can talk about whatever it is you want to build on. And I, see what is coming in the landscape. And I also, have decided to shift the what I offer in terms of working with me in a one-on-one capacity. I'm going to announce more about that in 2025, a 120-day program. But in the meantime and in between time, I'm going to put the link in the description. If you have something you would like to get my perspective on, to have a conversation about whatever it is, and you can sign up for that. My calendar is going to be open for a week, and then I will probably offer that once or twice, one or two more times in the remainder of this year. Let's see, it's August, so maybe once in October, and then maybe once in December. So yeah, if you are interested in taking advantage of that, now would be the time. And what else? I am going to, for my membership channel, I decided today, we do a challenge called Putting Love Out in the World. And because I know that a lot of people are struggling right now with keeping their sanity or, having direction, I am going to offer 2 consultations to two of you members in the membership channel. I'll put up the details there. I was going to do a Putting Love Out into the World challenge for this week, but I decided to do the physical fitness challenge, which I have posted in the membership channel. So, but I wanted to say that publicly because the emphasis on kindness, the emphasis on, kind of going out of our way to step our kindness game up for other people. And because I really do love doing the consultations and talking to people and being a sounding board, but then also I feel like I help people to see themselves through the eyes of God. Not like I'm the eyes of God, but like that loving, unconditional love. And here's the right way to think about this so that this can work out in your favor, opposed to against you, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's going to be a gift or a love offering, I'll say, for the membership channel. And I'll be posting about that soon. And then also, if you're interested in a one-on-one consultation, I'll put the information for that in the description. So, the greatest show on earth. What we're watching is pure theater and a pure circus. And it's really disheartening for me at post 2020 to see us, humanity as a collective, still falling for the smoke and mirrors. This image on the left is the cover of the Economist magazine 2013 edition. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this in a video on YouTube. I definitely broke this down in a membership channel video, but This image shows, and notice the caption, a rough guide to hell, unequivocally everything that is happening in the political and the social and the economic and all of the different facets of American society and the impact and the ripple effect that it's having in the global society. It's unfolding right in front of our eyes. I'm gonna escape out of this page and blow a few of these images up just to make the point. But before I do, I'm emphasizing the circus. I have the clown here to sort of really, you know what I mean, kind of keep the theatrics, because you know you got to make it sexy for the internet for people to be interested. It's got to be bells and whistles, right? So we have the lights in the background, we have the clown with the makeup on, and it's very clear to me at this point that a large portion of the population is in some sort of trance. And this, the notion, this statement, it takes grace to remain kind in cruel situations, is really important to me because the cruelty that I see being exhibited through the psychological warfare that everything I'm getting ready to talk about is predicated on or relative to politics, celebrity, social media, science, medicine, technology, the atmosphere, the care and love and taking care of the planet or lack thereof, all different facets of humanity right now. There is a very staunch and strategic agenda to disarm you of your humanity and your connection to love and to God and to nature and to the limitless power that you have when you are operating in your righteous mind. A very strategic spiritual war happening right now. And when I see how they can push a button and create a new talking point or create a new campaign or create a new nominee using the algorithm for exactly what it was created for. There's an organic algorithm and then there's a synthetic algorithm. We're going to talk about that. What we're talking about right now is the synthetic algorithm. The circus is the synthetic algorithm. This image on the left, a rough guide to hell, is a synthetic algorithm. How do we know? Because these people aren't creators. They can't create. That's the balance of the universal order. So they have to keep the circus going, keep the theatrics going, keep the smoke and mirrors going, keep the song and dance going, the race war, the class war, etc., to keep us spinning in circles so that we create the world that they desire. Because when we're in chaos, it's creating the world of chaos that they desire. So again, it takes great patience and grace to remain kind in cruel situations, because the way that I see these people playing with the minds of the masses is cruel. I'm tired talk about all this stuff in terms of the Jim Jones juice and the white lines in the sky, right? And the what they're putting in the water and the impact that the blocking of our sun is having and all of these different things. And I think we've gotten so numb to talking about it, right? But it's cruel. All of it's cruel. Putting quote unquote shots that are administered through needles, at least as far as human beings are concerned. Developing technology to put those things in salads and in meats and in different produce, and then imposing that on the cows and the chickens and the turkeys and the wildlife of the ecosystem, so to speak, is cruel. Having to choose between organic and conventional food, when literally a seed, you can put a seed in the ground and create a tree that will feed people for thousands of years, is cruel. And what they're doing to these politicians and these celebrities, for those of us who have eyes to see and ears to hear, is cruel. But we know that the whole infrastructure is set up, especially when it comes to Hollywood and politicians, you can control 1 million people just by controlling one. And if this political situation right now doesn't prove that more than anything, I don't know what will. So again, it's one thing to watch the circus. It's a whole different ball game to actively participate. This image and this fiasco that happened at the Olympics is not just offensive to Christians. And I'm seeing a very strong uptick in religious dogma that is, I guess, relative if you are, representing your particular religious persuasion, right? It's relative, especially when you feel like you're standing up for something righteous and important. And this fiasco and very disrespectful display at the Olympics in Paris as of late, and all of the drama that came with it, is another part of the psychological warfare. So this is not only disrespectful to people who identify Jesus as their Lord and Savior, or who identify as Christians. This is disrespectful to all of the children who were watching, to all of the parents who were watching and then had to turn around and have a conversation. Hopefully he's had a conversation afterwards. Again, subconscious psychological warfare. And when I say disrespectful, I'm only talking about there is a spiritual and a physical counterpart to everything that's taking place right now. So physically, as a mom, right, as a lover of the sanctity of family and the male-female dichotomy and the production of life, right? And then the whole purpose and intention of religion in the first place. You could say what you want about Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, all the different schools of thought in terms of spirituality. But at the core, I think, of all of those different facets of consciousness and spirituality is good intention. All of us are really just trying to figure this out, right? That's why I don't entertain the anti-religious sentiment, because the anti-religious people are a whole new religion. It's fascinating to watch them work. I jumped off that bandwagon some time ago because, again, we're all just trying to figure this out. But I'm also recognizing very high extreme levels of religious dogma. I had a friend send me a video. I just thought about it. I should have put it in the presentation. But the guy is basically saying, actually, let's see. I think I can play it from my phone. Let me just stop my frequency music real quick. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that because it's well, I'll just explain it. So the guy is a white Christian nationalist, basically talking about them white Christian nationalists rising up and, and representing the true white nation, attachment, Jesus, all of that, like the bread and butter of a demographic of American society, right? That has been here since the so-called inception of what we know of as America. So this guy is like speaking with this real elitist sentiment about, these people like taking their rightful place as the true leaders and of the world and people of God. Then we've got the whole situation in the Middle East where these people are decimating a whole entire population of people in the name of being the people of God. Right? We still got sundown towns in America, places where Black people know. It's ingrained in the culture where they know you can't go after a certain time, or it's going to turn into a different type of purge type situation. This is active happening right now in America. So all of these different extreme polarities of consciousness, we have two representations of extreme polarity of consciousness on the screen right now. The one on the top represents Sodom and Gomorrah and Babylon. Let's be clear. The one on the bottom represents the continuity coming from, and it didn't start with this, it started with Darwinism and the theory of evolution and natural selection, and how they've ingrained this concept of their superiority in every facet of human society. So the continuity of it is the image represented here, and how everybody's upset about the image, but not even talking about the fact that, yeah, but the image is a part of a bigger agenda. If you were going to paint the scene in terms of what it at least, in terms of location, in terms of demographic, in terms of the ideology, then the people represented in the images would have really looked like what the people of those times actually looked like. And they don't. And it's intentional. So I'm just saying, this is, yes, we get the disrespect in terms of mimicking this so-called image of the Last Supper. 100% we get that. I've seen some images that look very different than this, right? You go in any black bookstore or any, have any black artistic representation. We've seen them that look very different than them, right? Than this, right? But just in terms of the symbolic aspect of it, we get the disrespect. But I just want to be clear that we could put an image of a man, woman, and child next to this at the same time. And we could put an image of a brother and a sister in Africa with the, hijab on, bending down, doing salat. And we could put an image of, beautiful people in different parts of Asia who represent Buddhism or different spiritual customs, who are just aligned with the goodness of what, life and humanity has to offer. This is a very strategic, correlated event taking place right in front of our eyes, and it's intentional. We've gone over American Gods in different headline news segments. I know there's some videos I have up on my YouTube channel where I was talking about this and really getting into the different personality types that are represented in this series, American Gods, right? And the specific things that these archetypes in the film represented is one aspect of this, and then the other aspect of this is these are symbolic for the archetypes that are playing out right now in the collective consciousness, particularly in America. And so the lack of spiritual discernment right now is something that really needs to be honed in on. We really need to start being mindful of if there is a lack of spiritual discernment on an individual level, and we know that for sure on a collective. And then what does spiritual discernment look like and entail for you? So I wrote a list, and I read this list in I think I read this in Who Are You Uninterrupted Part 2. This is just some of the pressure and the strain on those of us that are just this quick list I just wrote off the top of my head. It isn't even as detailed as it could be, right? But for those of us who are striving to operate in the love vibration, right? To operate in truth, to go to the source of our personal issues, our individual problems, and at the same time add value in the collective consciousness, take accountability for ourselves, etc. Right? Not walking through the world with blinders on, not worshiping their gods, the American gods, the political gods, the celebrity gods, the porn gods, the social media gods, the influencer gods, right? So the fashion gods, the pressures on you right now, if you are striving to be awake opposed to living in avoidance, righteous, self-sufficient, balancing, coming in and out of the matrix. Hopefully you know what that actually means and what that entails. Dealing with family and loved ones who are out of alignment, especially post 2020, with decisions that have been made that have some potentially difficult outcomes. The doing versus being mentality. Being in unequally yoked relationships. How many actual high vibrational relationships are we creating in terms of the male-female dichotomy that are impacting the collective consciousness just through their being? The authentic self. Do you even know who the authentic self is? Have you even tapped into that? Do you even know what your purpose is? That's why the question, who are you uninterrupted, has been so critical for me. The weight of the world, dealing with the weight of the world. How much of this are you taking in? Again, are you participating in the circus, or are you just watching it? Or have you turned your back on it completely? Because the day is coming for those of us that understand what's going on to turn our backs on the circus completely. The density of carrying the weight of this world, the density of your diet, the density of your mental diet, the things that you pay attention to, or lack thereof, right? The density of the physical body and not being in physical health, the density of emotional baggage and emotional uh, 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 static, right? That causes disease within the body. We talk about mucus forming. Yes, mucus forms from bad diet, but mucus also a form of mucus and dense substance within the body also forms from emotional trauma, lack of emotional expression, lack of the reciprocity of love. We're here to love. We're here to experience and to give love. So all of those things that represent the density, the lack of relationship to breath, prana, life force energy, it affects your aura. Again, density is the light, is the energy high, is the vibration high? Density versus beings of light. And recognizing that these things are measurable. How you think, how you eat, how you feel, how you breathe, and how you live is what represents your foundation. Your frequency, your vibration. And foundation. That was a Freudian slip, but that's a bar because it does represent your foundation. We all have fears. This is the hour where those fears have to be confronted. Sexual discipline right now, being sexually disciplined in this world where everything is about sex. And mind you, there are the different level of repercussions post 2020. If you know, you know. It's not just about sexually transmitted diseases anymore. The cost of living, raising children in this environment, right? This is just a short list. So when we talk about American gods, let me bring my right now list up. Celebrities, politicians, the algorithm, trending topics and collective consciousness, social media, quote unquote influencers. Some of them are AI. Imagine that. Trending topics, which are contrived. I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the girl who is her and her boyfriend looked at a post, the same post, and the comments that she showed were more like, pro female, pro feminist type vibes, and then the comments that he saw right at the top of the video were like, more machismo, like the way that the average man would think about and see this situation. Yeah, they're shaping and molding consciousness, and it's so easy now. Because imagine if the comments are AI and bots. Um, the algorithm representing being slaves, or not even the algorithm. The algorithm was one, right? Celebrities, politicians, the algorithm, the ongoing insistence of humanity being slaves to our lower nature. Lower nature represented through how we eat, right? How we think, our lack of discipline, balancing out discipline and indulgence, our unwillingness to address our fears in the individual and the collective, which is the collective's inability to do so is on 1,000 right now. And this insistence on, I wrote down gluttony for suffering. And I used gluttony because it was in the other image. We're talking about these, sort of divine states of consciousness or demigods, right? But gluttony for suffering, like just this insatiable appetite, this hamster wheel, this ongoing hamster wheel we're on of suffering, internal, which expresses itself in the external world. So this is why those of us that are striving to walk in the light right now are having such a difficult time. because we're doing the inner work and we're focused internally and still having to navigate the physical extremities and circumstances of being in this world around people and around societies that are not focused in that direction at all. On the contrary. So this is when we talk about these different representations of demigods and the algorithms, right? These 5 topics in American politics, they push a button and they control you guys every time. Racism, politics, religion, the gender aspect, and adding to that the LGBTQ element, and then abortion. They push these buttons, and war is, to me, represented in all of these areas because there's a gender war and there's a religious war, and abortion keeps, the country divided, right? That whole aspect of civil war, if you will. All of these things represent war in a different type of way. They push a button, they make these topics trend, and then they control the masses. And this is what all of the talking points in the presidential election for both candidates is going to be about this whole entire time. The same thing it was in the previous election, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. There's a video I posted in the library of my membership channel called Trump Shot, SHOT. I'm spelling this out because I don't want the algorithm to censor my video. SHOT or not. That's the name of it. You can find it online on one of the video content pages. I don't even want to say the guy's name because he has the type of name that will get, you know what I mean, the algorithm picked up on it. But it's in my membership channel. It's an hour and a half. He did a full 1.5 hour expose on all of the semantics and all of the blatantly obviously reasons why this was not a total fugazi and a staged theatric expose, if ever there was one. I knew it immediately when I was sawing the footage. All you have to do is look at the crowd, right? So I'm not going to get into this heavy because, again, I went into this in depth in headline news. I went into the crowd and all of the specifics and some of the images in headline news. But one of the things that my third eye immediately picked up on when I saw this image on the left is it reminded me of the image of the right. This is the Stars and Stripes on Loto, an iconic photograph of 6 U.S. Marines raising the U.S. flag atop Mount Suribachi during the Battle of Iwo Jima in the final stages of World War II. I instantly, in my mind's eye, saw this image because I could see when you study art, you know that these images, whether it's a painting or an actual, intended photograph, the angle of the camera and then the angle at which the main characters in the center of the image are very intentional. And so you can see that the flag raising as well as the bodily, it's like a triangular, almost triangular type of shape. That's very intentional. So my mind immediately honed in on that. And then the way he responded afterwards, and all you have to do is look at the crowd. So there's 1,000 exposés that have been done on this. And it's so amazing to me that some of the people on the quote unquote right, they've now pinpointed you guys to left and right. Like those aren't even, you know what I mean? Like red and blue. I have a red and blue pen in front of me right now, but red and blue, left and right. Like it's such a neutralized, the words don't even have any power. You know what I'm saying? They're just regular average words that we use all the time that they use so much that now, there's no power or significance in the language. I knew immediately what I was looking at, but I'm listening to people on the right who are just so blinded. Again, American God, savior complex in full effect. Can't see the whole theater playing in the background because they're so honed in on seeing what it is that they want to see. Peace to the knowledge and wisdom seekers and those that have ears to hear and eyes to see. This is America right here. This is happening right now in 2024. So this is what happened. Let me pause this. I just want us to get a real view. This is, excuse me. They put two very mediocre representatives of American culture and of leadership in front of you. They did it with Biden and Trump. They're doing it now again with Kamala and Trump. They did it with Barack. They did it with Hillary and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. In terms of, we've all gotten really accustomed to this concept of the lesser of two evils, which speaks volumes. Right. So here we have people showing up at the Republican National Convention wearing band-aids on their ears in solidarity of a whole theatrical presentation that didn't actually take place. Again, for me at this point, because this has been so long ago, a few weeks now, hasn't even been that long, but look at how nobody's talking about it anymore because the algorithm is keeping you spinning in your wheels and focused on the next thing they want you to be focused on. This is a very intentional, all of the caveats of showing these different facets of American culture. They want the world to think that America is full of stupid, silly, celebrity obsessed, mindless people that don't read, people that aren't paying attention, people that will do and say anything that their favorite politician wants them to do. And so this is why these type of things on the BBC News and CNN and MSNBC and Fox and all of these so-called platforms of news, right? And for all we know, they staged people in the crowd to actually start this whole little trend. I wouldn't put anything past them. What value does that have? And like I said in the previous video, if they wanted to take him out, let's be clear. You guys don't know your government. You think if they actually want, how much money this country spends on military, defense, et cetera, et cetera. You think if they really wanted to take anybody out that they couldn't. Okay, so if it was all theater and it was all staged, why? Because they select the people that they put in office anyway. Because they want to keep you in the circus. They want you involved and invested in the circus. It's mass energy harnessing taking place.
The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president. We were safer, wealthier, and stronger. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to put money back in our pockets and good food on our kids' plates.
These kinds of voices, I heard some grousing about this from some of the conservative. This is how you change the composition of the electorate.
That was probably the most dangerous speak for the Democratic coalition. That is a young woman of color. She's describing the experience a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. And she spoke to it really well. And she's way more famous than any of us up here.
The Delilah concubine frequency in American culture and politics is strong. You hear the way these guys responded? First of all, like she said something powerful, which she didn't. And we know she didn't say that. She was reading something that was scripted for her to say. Right. But this is going to change the complexion of the electorate. This is so dangerous, right? Like we can have actually concubines changing the narrative of political infrastructure at a time where so much suffering and chaos and dysfunctioning is happening right up underneath our noses. And these are the people that they put in front of you to talk to you, to speak to you, for you to relate to and resonate with. This is the conservative, family-oriented representation of American politics, having this woman come forward, Miss Slutwalk, Miss Atheist, talking about Kamala, I don't think I put the video in here, but I played a video in the headline news of Judge Brown going off about Kamala effing and sucking her way to the top. Well, this is somebody who 100% proudly will tell you that's how she got to where she is now, to where she's on the stand talking to the American public. With all of there's brilliant women all across this country, white, black, Mexican, mixed, other, et cetera, et cetera. There are brilliant women everywhere. These are the people that they're putting in front of you because they represent the level of consciousness and the frequency bandwidth that they want to keep you locked in. Just like Cardi B sitting down and talking, and interviewing, who was it? Hillary Clinton. And then I think she interviewed Biden, and, that whole role of the whole rock the vote and the twerking thing in Atlanta. Again, they think you're stupid. So they're going to hire strippers and pay them good money and put them in a vote campaign in Atlanta to entice you to come and vote and do something that really has no significance in terms of your personal power, while at the same time rocking you and your people to sleep with ass and titties. This is disrespectful to anybody who has half a brain. Sexy Red wants Donald Trump back. Cardi B slams Donald Trump for promising police immunity. These are in major news. The Chronicle, CBS Miami. You know what I'm saying? These are the media outlets that are actually supposed to be informing people about what's happening in the world. They're putting before you the demigods that they want to keep you locked in the frequency that they're resonating on. So the concubines are your modern day leaders and mouthpieces and spokespersons. This image on the left shows the campaign fundraising, Democrat versus Republican. Everyone from Kamala, and Trump right now, the money that has been raised, and then Biden and Trump and Hillary, and then the Obama campaigns, and then the Bush campaigns before that, right? Look at this amount of money, $3.2 billion for Joe Biden. And it wasn't because Joe Biden was the best thing since sliced bread or because all these people loved him. It was because Trump was the perfect, 1000% perfect Trojan horse. And Obama walked so he could run. You guys forgot so quick how much anti-Black sentiment there was during the Obama campaign. Yeah, he was a pawn and a 100% owned and controlled. All of them are. But in terms of the anti-Black sentiment, and for me, I was coming from California, born and raised in California, and moving to Atlanta and having to really deal with that, the way that white people operate and navigate in those spaces, and that whole entitlement and how cocky and arrogant they are. Yeah, that was unfamiliar for me. I didn't grow up in that type of environment. White people in California and Black people have a different type of understanding. And because of that, there is a lot of racism here, but it's a lot more subtle, and it happens through the infrastructure and the cost of living and redlining and all of that different stuff. So how quickly we forget all of that anti-Black sentiment of Obama is why Trump became a real viable option. And then the anti-female sentiment, along with all of the 1,000 reasons to not like Hillary Clinton, was why Trump became a viable option. These people are moving these people around based on data, demographics. Trump was a former reality TV star. So we have a former reality TV star who, yes, has political experience now. And let's be clear, along with that political experience of 4 years came a plan, PLAN, demic, unlike anything the world has ever seen. And the role he played in that, how quickly you guys forget. It's fascinating. 44,000 Black women and 65,000 Black men raised 3 million in 2 Zoom chats in the last 24 hours. White Women for Kamala had a Zoom call with over 164,000 people gathered and broke the Zoom call for record funds to raise for Kamala Harris. white dudes for Kamala Harris. I mean, imagine if Americans actually got together, look at all of this money on the left-hand side and said, you know what, we're going to sit this one out. But what we are about to do is do mass crowdfunding for the farmers. The black farmers just got a $2 billion settlement, which is pennies on the dollar compared to what's really due. But we saw how they handed out money during the pandemic. We saw the potential of how reparations can be paid out. So but I'm just talking about the galvanizing and the organizational aspect of pinpointing where there is needs and services and things that are not being done by this government continuously over a very large amount of time, and placing our time, energy, money into doing the things that we've been waiting for them to do this whole time ourselves. The concept of self-sufficiency and self-governance is something that we really need to start pondering, because the world as we know it is not the same. The political institutions who's running the show is not the same. One of the other videos that I didn't show was the Congress, the House of Representatives, one of the large bodies. They had a gathering, and your boy Netanyahu showed up and they gave him a standing ovation. Democrats and Republicans alike. So we can raise all of these money and put in 2 years and 4 years of energy and attention and intention into these people who have continuously done nothing to affect real change in terms of the things that's necessary in this country. Demigods, harnessing energy, harnessing money. Kamala Harris officially becomes the Democratic Party's nominee. This is the 2024 campaign election program and agenda right here in the comments of this post on Complex. I'm not voting for Kamala button. I'm voting for Kamala button. Remember, not a single voter for this, no voice of the people, and hell no button. This is the divergent. This is the grouping people in terms of tribalism, in terms of political ideology. And I'm not trying to minimize the importance of, having the government infrastructure work for us the way it's supposed to, because we pay taxes, because this is the way, this is the deal. This is the deal we have on the ground with the leaders of the world. They're just not holding up to their end of the bargain. And again, they're putting two very mediocre people in a very high position of authority and leadership, so-called. We know these people don't really run anything. Kamala's not running anything, and neither is Biden. The amount of Black men that have made a decision that an uneducated sexual predator, slumlord, con artist, racist reality TV show, mediocre white man who has the self-control of a 5-year-old is more qualified than this highly educated law school graduate, former DA, and senator poised, well-spoken Black woman is not only disheartening, is disrespectful, and your Black mama should be ashamed. To side with people who refer to our top tier Black representatives as DEI hires is the most disappointing shit you could ever do. Black men are not a monolith, but we should display some level of unity publicly because the enemy is unified and strategic. I just felt like this was a post of a perfect representation of you push a button and they all scatter into their corners. So the pro Kamala, the pro-Black woman, the anti-Trump, the anti-white male patriarchy, all of these different means representations of consciousness just scattering into their corners. And the anti-Black woman sentiment, I knew immediately as soon as they announced her, oh, we're getting ready to go back through the Bedouinch saga. Every time there is a Black woman or so-called Black woman, maybe she's Black, we don't know, all of that. Anytime that dichotomy comes up, like I said, the Judge Doe Brown with the whole she effed and sucked her way to the top aspect of it, most people in Hollywood and politics have. Black women, white men, Black men. There is some level of soul sacrificing that's taking place. Shouldn't that be clear to us by now? We know it in Hollywood. Diddy has 100% confirmed that. And all of the people that have been 1000% silent this whole time that now have testimonies to bring to the forefront. They've all been effing and sucking their way to the top, right? So the black female caricature and the whole conversation about welfare chicks from the 90s and or from the 60s and why black women are the problem. I saw all of that coming as soon as she got. It's insane. This is the Divergent. And I don't have no skin in this game. I think they're both duds. I think they both work for Satan. I found this image on the right very hilarious, as if Kamala has any semblance of power in terms of what this original image represents. Delilah frequency. Strong. But wait, I need to know, is this real? Is this AI, or did she really say this in this campaign? Because this is a little too step and fetch it for me. 2024. Like, when did she ever talk like that? Maybe that's not real. I'm not gonna put too much energy into that. But again, these are the representations. She couldn't have Rhapsody. She couldn't have a Ciroc right there in Atlanta come and do this event.
The actual lyrics of the song are body crazy, curvy, wavy, big titties, little waist. Lil waist. Yeah. Num, 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 num. Eat it up. Foreplay. Okay. 3, 2, 1. All my bitches getting these N-word through the quarantine. Yeah. They better know exactly what the F they come to do. Only she says the word. Yeah. That waist, that ass, then titties. And then took me home, did me long, ate it with the panties on. That very classy stuff. And I guess Kamala Harris saw this actual song and said, I need that at my rally. I need that. That speaks to me. Did it, ate it with the panties on. Yes, I want it. So I can see why it's controversial. It would not have been my choice. I don't think it's particularly classy for the woman who asks us to make her the first female president.
This is how you talk to and deal with people that you think are stupid. So this is continuing remember the previous slide where we have the anti-black woman sentiment, sort of rearing its head again, right? And then you have now the sexually promiscuous black caricature that's being emphasized in all of these different aspects of culture. It's one thing for it to just be in a strip club. It's one thing for it to be in a particular music demographic. Now you're putting it on one of the biggest shows on earth in front of the world. And when we're supposed to be sitting down and having real conversations about real life issues and the things that American people are dealing with, this is what they bring to, again, keep you locked in a certain frequency.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I'm a never Trump guy.
I did say circus, right? And it's giving me the pandemic dancing nurses and doctors. Remember all those videos that were trending during that very scary time? the anti-Trump sentiment. He's the perfect Trojan horse. He's the perfect controlled opposition. These people are dancing and raising all of this money and doing all of this fundraising, not because Kamala is the best thing since sliced bread, because they hate him. Just like all of the hoopla that came with Trump's presidency and his nomination was because they hated Barack. They were way over that whole, we need a far different representation in terms of the new demigod that you put in front of us. All they saw was a black man, right? So we need a very different representation of white male manhood to lead us right now. So the anti-Trump sentiment, the anti-Kamala, this is all very strategic. And again, this is how you handle people that you think are stupid. These people don't represent this whole caricature that they're putting up of American people. All this, what we're seeing, I don't know people. The people I know, highly intelligent. I've been so thoroughly impressed, especially that's one of the good things about social media is that you see how many really brilliant, creative artists and thinkers and thought leaders and, you know, average everyday people. Like there's some very highly intelligent people in America. And I promise you, I'd rather be here than anywhere else, just in terms of the, no, I'm not going to say rather be here than anywhere else because I'm going to be moving around soon, but the people in positions of power around the world understand that America is the last leg standing in terms of what we consider freedom, and that freedom running parallel with this agenda. So I'm not saying that there aren't places in the world where you go everywhere around the world and everything is all hunky-dory, right? It's all good. But there's also a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, as we should all know, in terms of government, in terms of currency, what type, in terms of migrants from other countries moving in now, and the economic and the psychological impact. All this is happening right in front of our eyes. And they're sending, I was going to say semi-decent. I can't even call her semi-decent. They're sending twerking rap artists to dance in front of you and to play games with your mind and to keep you locked in a certain frequency. So Trump is the glitch in the matrix, right? How our attention span is unfortunately so short. United States presidential election of 2016, American presidential election held on November 8th, 2016, in which Republican Donald Trump lost the popular vote to Democrat Hillary Clinton by more than 2.8 million votes, but won 30 states in the decisive electoral college with 304 electoral votes to Clinton's 227, and thus became the 45th president of the United States. So Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 2.8 million. The Electoral College is who elected Donald Trump. And we can get into the semantics of what that entails or not, but the idea that this guy would be the glitch in the matrix when it was a program in the matrix that got him put into office in the first place is fascinating to me. Here's when the results of the 2020 election will be finalized. While the NBC News projects Joe Biden will defeat incumbent Donald Trump, the results of the presidential election won't be finalized until January. Remember that whole collective pause that they did where they couldn't, for some reason, that was a whole ritual. That was a whole mass energy harnessing. Diabolical, another cruel mind game just to play with the people that you think are stupid because you can. States certify election results, the Electoral College casts electoral votes, and Congress counts electoral votes. Each state has its own timeline for certifying election results. Now right here in November 11th of 2020, they were already setting the stage for the argument on the right and all of this crazy, chaotic right-wing, banter and energy about election fraud. They were setting it up in November of 2020. They were setting up the January 6th so-called insurrection right here with that whole week where they couldn't figure anything out and everything was Biden's victory over Trump in 2020 was not particularly close. He won the Electoral College with 306 votes to Trump's 232, and the popular vote by more than 7 million ballots. Because the Electoral College ultimately determines the presidency, the race was decided by a few battleground states. Many of those states conducted recounts or thorough reviews of the results, all of which confirms Biden's victory. And now, I bet you that's one thing that won't come up in the debates is the Electoral College and the need for it. Have you ever met someone who votes in the Electoral College? That's one thing that's not going to come up in the conversations on the right or the left. All of the political pundits, so much noise, so much talking, so much interest and energy dedicated to this political campaign. But the Electoral College is something that just will not come up. It's fascinating to me. This is a chart showing the cost of living, whether it was better than 3 years ago, meaning during Trump's presidency versus now. Overall prices up 17%, credit card debt up 46%, food costs up 25%, home sales down 26%, gas prices up 40%, real wages down 2%. You look at this and be like, yeah, it was better when Trump was in office, but the residual effect of the decisions that Trump made and all of the things that took place in American politics and in society during the pandemic is a 100% residual of what we're looking at on this screen. So it was started back then, and the ripple effects are just being felt now. Not taking anything away from Biden and the lack of efficient governance and rulership, but like all of these things are they were handing out checks left and right during that time like it was nothing. You know how many businesses closed in America between 2020 and 2023? How many small businesses, the magnitude of the impact on the society, on the economy of businesses that had to shut down? So gas prices are something that's determined by the market, right? Fluctuations in the market. And to an extent, food costs are as well, because it's relative to gas prices. So this is all very systematic. This is not about one party versus the other. And I understand that, yeah, if you look at the numbers, like, yeah, Trump's presidency did represent a better time of sort of, economic upswing, if you will. I felt that about Obama's presidency too. And I felt that about Clinton's presidency, just in terms of seeing real on the ground forward momentum. But how much of this, we look at these numbers, we look at these statistics, what role do we play in this? How much of this are we deciding? What say do we have on credit card interest rates? What say do we have in food costs and gas prices and wages and home sales? Or are these things just being determined for us and we're just kind of going with the flow?
I work with IPCE. If you don't know, that's International Pedophile and Child Emancipation. And our goal is to abolish the stigmatization of people with pedophilic sexual interests and normalizing the potential role in moderating pedophiles' emotional well-being.
So you're saying you support pedophiles?
I'm saying I support love.
Okay.
And just because America views ages like 18 as some sort of imaginary bar or line in the sand for humans to engage in romantic relationships doesn't mean it's right.
So you don't see anything wrong with a 20-year-old dating a 12-year-old?
That's not what I'm saying. But listen, if we're taking a month as a country to showcase our pride for other communities of sexual exploration, then I think we should add the letter P, which is just as important as the L, G, B, and T.
Oh my.
Okay. The circus. I want to hear this talked about at a debate. This is this video on the right, this guy goes and picks his son up in class, and his son's wearing a dress. Looks like they're in pre-K.
Let that be the first and last time I see you do that, please. So take that off. Take that off immediately.
Oh, here, I'll take it off, take it off.
And you guys never ever let my son put a dress on, ever. Ever. You understand me? Ever. Like, ever.
No worries.
ever, ever.
So in the previous the complex post where the person said we didn't vote for this, talking about Kamala being represented in the Democratic, we didn't vote for this, we didn't have any say in this. Who voted for this? The current dosage, the immunization schedule for children in the US 2018 was 72 doses. And this isn't even an up-to-date. I couldn't even find an up-to-date with the current with the you-know-what Jim Jones juice on it. I don't know how a parent, like if you have children that are actually still in the public school system, I don't know how you're not considering homeschooling at this point, because there's no way. And this is just the stuff that gets caught on film. Imagine all the subtle things that are happening in terms of the seeds that are being planted in these children's minds, sexualizing them in all of these different ways. So here's two extreme polarities on the left, talking about adding a P. Anybody who identifies in that culture who's not letting their voice be heard in terms of this idea of adding a P. And then on the right-hand side, a father walking in and seeing his son in a dress. It'd be big trouble if that was me. And obviously he responded and I love the way he responded. There were children there, so you can't, wig out. You have to maintain a certain semblance of composure. So I love that he did that. But just imagine. Biden speaks out about the fatal shooting of Sonia Massey. Remember, all this stuff is happening back to back to back to back. So right around the time of Kamala's announcement, right after the so-called assassination attempt, here now we have another shooting. Every year of presidential elections, there is a major shooting that takes place that steers the collective consciousness, sentiment, etc. Am I saying that, these are hits, quote unquote? I'm not saying what it is. I'm saying the potential that it is absolutely 1000% viable. Again, you guys don't know your government. This is not just about race-based consciousness. This is about mass energy harnessing and harvesting and steering the collective consciousness. So again, in the comments, Donald Trump wants to give police full immunity. Remember that as you vote. That's just a part of the program. That's just a talking point of the program, just like Project 2025. Democrats prey on Black emotions and get y'all every time. LOL, Trump 2024. Now, why would you be putting LOL on a post where a woman has been murdered for all intents and purposes? This is the extreme polarities in the consciousness again, because you can recognize that these people are playing on Black emotions, but at the same time show compassion for this situation, just like the George Floyd situation. All that hoopla that they made over the fact that his, what was in his blood, and he was a career this and da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, but we saw this brother get for 9 minutes, get suffocated. Where's your humanity? Just to even be able to acknowledge that. But again, this is all a part of a program to steer the collective consciousness, and they are using race-based propaganda. In America, this is part of the agenda. 2020, that agenda was very, very strong. Black Lives Matter running parallel with the pandemic. That was very intentional. There's major chaos happening in the UK right now because this young brother who you see on the top right, who is much older than that now, allegedly with a knife, and he's a migrant, right? The whole migrant crisis. They're using the migrant crisis in Europe in a different way than they're using it in America, but it's very strategic and intentional. So the suspect in the Southport stabbings has been named as Axel Muganwa Ruda Cubana, 17, after restrictions preventing him from being identified were lifted. He is charged with 3 counts of murder, 10 of attempted murder, and 1 count of possessing a bladed article and is remanded in youth custody. PM Sir Keir Starmer denounces the actions of a gang of thugs who took part in a riot in Southport and says a new national capability will be established to tackle violent disorder. Tuesday's riot followed a vigil for the victims, BB King 6, Elsie Stancombe, who's actually 6, it says 7 here, but come to find out, 2 6-year-olds and Alice De Silva Aguilar, who was 9. So really that's 666 in terms of the numbers. But with everything that's said in this article, with everything, all the hoopla, all of the protesting, all of the anger that's happening, right? The key thing that's said in this article is, quote, a new national capability. The Prime Minister has just announced that a new national capability across police forces will be set up to tackle violent disorder. This includes the wider deployment of facial recognition technology and criminal behavior orders, he says. Starmer makes the announcement after unrest across cities in the UK followed the stabbing attack of Southport. This is very strategic. Playing you talk about wars and rumors of wars and, the things that happen, spiritual, high places. Forgive me, because I've heard that quotes that reference Bible passage so much, and because it's so relative to today, I should have that off top, right? Because it's so relative today. This is why emphasizing spiritual discernment is critical. What are we really looking at? So that we don't get caught up in the race aspect of this as Black people, whether it's in America or in the UK, and vice versa. Everybody. This is my last slide, so I'm just making sure I have all my notes, things that I wanted to talk about. I referenced Project 2025, which is another part of the program that seems to have you guys so up in arms. Yet the Owning the Weather by 2024 agenda that's unfolding right in front of our eyes, you can't get human beings to talk about for nothing. Their dates are 2025 for a totally different reason than what you guys think they are. They got you locked in that race-based consciousness. They have a whole different plan for 2025 and then 2030. Those are their two marking points at this point in our near short-term future. So this image is a representation of Sekhmet. Sekhmet was a figure from Egyptian mythology or Kemetic mythology. She holds a unique place as both a bringer of disease and healer. She's often depicted as a red feline goddess with a woman's body and is considered the offspring of the earth god Geb. Her power stems from Ra, the sun god, making her a significant force. Her title, the Lady of Pestilence, embodies her power to spread disease, a characteristic that aligns with her role as the Eye of Ra, where she functions as an instrument of divine punishment. She's also seen as a patron of artisans, doctors, and healers, implying that she represents healing and defense against sickness. This dual aspect is a key to understanding the intricate nature of ancient Egyptian religious beliefs, where gods were neither entirely benevolent nor entirely malevolent. Where do we start? With the American gods, with the demigods of this world. The contrast in Sekhmet's roles can be compared to the sun's dual nature, its ability to both nurture life and cause damage in droughts. Sekhmet, with her dual character, mirrors the interweaving of life and death and the recurring pattern of existence. Her story serves as a potent reminder that creation and destruction are two aspects of the same reality. Now, this to me has multiple layers to it of importance, which is why I'm talking about this. For one, we see this extreme polarities with Donald Trump representing the white male, I'll say patriarchy, even though I don't really use that word a lot, but the white male, masculine archetype. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have this woman who is not white. You guys can argue about what her race is. It's crazy to me how much energy and attention that's getting, especially when there's just two candidates. Like y'all duking it out and doing exposés and going to the nitty gritty and pulling all the dirt from on both sides. There's two candidates, unless somebody else or JFK. Like it's not, again, mass energy harnessing. What could we be better focusing our energy and attention and intention on, especially because these people got 100-year head start on us. So I've been saying, if they've been planning what we're seeing unfold before our eyes, including adding the P to the LGBTQ, right? including what we saw in that immunization schedule. This has been a long time running, this agenda that's unfolding right now. So if they have 100+ year head start, doesn't that mean that we need to be 90% focused on building our world internally, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, fortifying ourselves to catch up? Not that it's a race, not that we're on the clock, but I'm just saying the spiritual dynamic and then the physical dynamic. How much more of our energy and attention and intention can we afford to give these people? While the light bringers among us are focused on trying to manifest some sort of heaven, and they're very clearly, intentionally trying to enforce on all of us some level of hell. So the representation of Sekhmet, representing the balance of the masculine and feminine, representing the balance of the necessity, I won't say necessity, the necessity on a higher level for war versus peace, or war and peace. And in particular, talking about her being the lady of pestilence, right? And this idea that she intentionally released certain because it's not just the disease aspect, it's the nature aspect, right? The storms and the difficulty aspects. So being a patron of artisans, doctors, and healers, and at the same time representing the dual aspect in terms of the pestilence and the disease, etc. We need warrior spirit in our men right now. We need warrior spirit in our women right now. Something that I am really seeing a high lack of post 2020 is the warrior spirit. We need men and women that are innately and that are intentionally balanced in their masculine and feminine perspective. There's a time to be loving and welcoming and opening always. And then there's a time to be cautious and shrewd. Hopefully you were cautious and shrewd post 2020 and you made the right choices and decisions, and now you're not dealing with the ramifications of making the wrong ones. That's the importance of being cautious and shrewd. Hopefully when you go in the grocery store, you're mindful of conventional versus organic, and you're choosing to buy organic foods and to fast, because that's the benefit of being cautious and shrewd. We came here to have a balance between indulgence and discipline. So we can't be so spiritually good that so spiritually invested that we're no earthly good. We can watch the circus. It doesn't mean we have to participate in it. Their goal is to magnify chaos of the mind and heart. That's one of the representations of what the lower nature or representation of a Sekhmet represents. Chaos of the mind and heart. That's what petulance is about. Pestilence, spreading disease. I mean, how relevant is that to right now? They just said in South Africa there was it's on the tip of my tongue because I saved it for the next headline news. There's an outbreak, a new outbreak in South Africa. Always Africa, right? My first question, what percentage of the people there took the Jim Jones juice? That's what I need to know first before I can start to decide what's actually happened. It's one of the things I need to know first. But we need grid and energy stabilizers. They're activating their agent Smiths all across the board. The NPCs that we see in popular culture, in film, in music, in these different industries, in politics, they're activating their race soldiers, their gender war soldiers, all these different extreme polarities that they're bringing out in consciousness in terms of this whole election, all of that. They're keeping you spinning in running around in circles, spinning your wheels, and it's all a circus and a show. So those of us that recognize that, those of us that understand the concept of energy and grid stabilizers, we need to step our game up, our spiritual internal focus and awareness. Again, the masculine, the balance of the masculine and feminine, being able to be mindful and dip into the matrix when we need to, but always being mindful that it exists only in the mind. All of those things. We need to get activated. We need to get activated. And the divine feminine attributes in man and woman, because again, the point is, the goal is to have chaos of the mind and heart. How do you stabilize the heart frequency? Through stillness, through grace, through mercy, through emotional maturity, through having a strong energetic resonance, your aura, your auric field, light versus density, etc., etc. We need to be improving and expanding and discovering who we really truly are right now, and confronting those fears and recognizing attributes or personality traits or things of old world models, things that we used to do that aren't serving us anymore, that aren't working anymore. Now is the time for the purge. Now is the time for the introspection. Now is the time to really start determining our real, true, authentic who and what we want to be, not based on what this world, this fallacy of a world that's coming to an end, but who we are at the core of our natural, organic, spiritual being. And I'm going to leave you beautiful souls with that. I appreciate your time and energy and attention. Thank you so much for listening. I always appreciate your feedback. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace and love.